Okay, well, welcome everybody. My name is Tyler Garnes. I'm the founder and CEO here at Box Out Marketing, and today's topic is the 5 steps to Infusionsoft success. So, what we're going to cover is first, what makes campaigns actually work. Makes no sense to get into Infusionsoft if we don't understand kind of basic marketing strategy and what's required to make campaigns work, because Infusionsoft really is just a tool. If we put the wrong stuff inside there, then it's not going to do us any good. Next, we're going to go over the innocent culprit inside of Infusionsoft, the one little thing that really screws most people up in a bad way. We're going to go through the chain that connects all things and the fastest way to get results with Infusionsoft. So let's dive right in. What makes campaigns actually work? So these first 2 steps, like I said, have nothing to do with Infusionsoft. Now you may be frustrated, hey, I thought I got in here for Infusionsoft webinar. Well, don't worry, I'm going to show you some great Infusionsoft stuff. I'm going to give you some of the foundation that you need to really make Infusionsoft powerful in your business. But again, if you put garbage in, you're going to get garbage out. So we've got to talk about some of the basics. Some of these things you may have heard before, but I hope to put just a slightly different spin on things so that you get an understanding of how you can do these things in your business and create campaigns that actually produce results for you. So you've probably seen this before. If you've been in any marketing class before in school or whatever, you've seen this triangle where you've got the market, or who you're addressing, the message, or what you're saying, and the media, which is how you're saying it. And when you have a market, message, media match, then that's when campaigns actually start to work. You may have seen it represented like this, where you've got your market and you've got your message and you've got your media, and the point in the middle where those things intersect is where the money is to be made, right? If you're conveying the right message to the right market using the right media, you're gonna win. The problem is most business owners that we talk to, that we work with, don't do this correctly, and it's not your fault. You're probably a gym owner or a landscaper or a lawyer or a doctor. That's your trade, that's your expertise. You may not have gone into business to become an expert marketer. That's okay. That's why we're here to help you with these things. But you've got to be cognizant of how this all works. You've got to be cognizant of the fact that your market is actually probably much smaller than you think. It's much more well-defined and crystal clear as a very small niche market, or at least you can get a much better message to that niche market if you really focus on it. And when you get that message really targeted to those people, they'll respond. And then it's just a matter of, how do I get in front of them? Are they on Facebook? Is it through email? Is it through SMS? Should I send them direct mail, TV advertising, whatever it may be? Using the right media that's going to get to those people in the right way is part of the key of making all of this work. So let's move beyond the basics and start talking about how you do this in a little bit more of an effective way. So in addition to having the message to market to media match, you've got to answer these following questions for your prospects. You may not have ever thought of it this way, but if these questions go unanswered in their mind, they will not buy from you. Okay, so I would encourage you to take a minute, maybe later today, tonight, tomorrow morning, go through your campaigns, your sales pages, your emails, whatever it is you're using to try and convert people, and see if these questions are being answered. Okay, first, why do I need this? That may seem like such a basic question, but I promise you, if you don't convince them why they need your product or service, they're not going to buy. Okay, so why do they need it? What problem is it that they have that you solve? Okay, and how do you solve it? Why do they need this? Next thing, why should I buy it right now? This is a problem that a lot of small business owners have. Well, I don't want to be pushy. Okay, you don't have to be pushy. What you have to do is help people understand the reasons why they should buy now. Or what are the consequences of waiting later? What happens if you don't start that health program and join our gym right now? Well, your health continues to decline. You feel terrible. You're less productive at work, whatever it might be, right? So why should I buy right now? Now, there should be some factors like what I just mentioned, and maybe also some additional factors that you can implement. Maybe it's scarcity. Well, we only have 3 slots open this month. Or maybe it's urgency. This sale is only going to last until midnight tonight. So by using urgency and scarcity, you can increase the reasons to buy now. But it works much better if there's a real reason about solving their problem or reducing their pain. that you can leverage to help them understand why doing it now is important. Next, why should I buy this instead of someone else? Or in other words, why should I buy from you instead of one of your competitors? Okay, this comes down to positioning, which we'll talk about in a second. But if you can't convince them that your offering is better, that there's better value in what you're doing, and there's a reason why they should buy from you instead of someone else, they won't buy. Okay, they will always hesitate and say, well, I'm just going to wait. Maybe something else will come along, or maybe they've already heard of something else and they were just coming to you to compare. Well, you just lost the battle. You have to convince them that going with you is the right choice. Next, what do I get for my money? Again, may seem like such a basic question, but oftentimes we're very unclear about what exactly you're going to get for your money. There's a value exchange there. And the next question, is the exchange in my favor? So they need to feel like, okay, they're asking me to spend $1,000. If I pay $1,000, will I get more than $1,000 worth of benefit in my life? And if the exchange is in their favor that way, versus they feel like, well, I'm going to pay them $1,000, I might only get $500 worth of benefit, right? They'll buy if the exchange is in their favor, and they're not going to buy if they feel like the exchange is not in their favor. Seems very basic again, but very few small businesses actually do an effective job at communicating the answers to these questions. These questions are always in your prospect's head, and if you aren't answering them, they will go unanswered, and therefore the person won't buy. We're always looking for reasons to buy, and if these answers are questions, if these questions are answered, we will find those reasons. But our brain is also, the logical side of our brain is also looking for a reason not to buy. And if one of these goes unanswered, then there's that reason. And there's a reason to hesitate, wait till later, not buy right now, maybe not buy ever. Okay, so make sure you're answering those questions. So this all leads us into this first step, which is positioning. Okay, positioning is what you do to occupy a distinct position relative to the competing brands in the minds of the customer. Well, what the heck does all that mean? Well, the most basic way that I found, I learned this from one of my mentors, Greg Head. The most basic way I've found to explain this is an exercise we call the blank one. So if we think of some big brands, this is very, very easy, right? So if we think of computers, laptops, digital devices, and I say the cool one, many of you, maybe not all of you, but many of you would say Apple, right? If you're thinking of Dell and Samsung and whatever, many of you would say Apple is the cool one, right? If we think of fast food restaurants, in the United States, when I ask this question at conferences, most people will say fast food restaurants, and if I say, what's the family one, they'll say McDonald's. Everyone cringes when they say that because they know McDonald's probably isn't the healthiest, but McDonald's has positioned themselves as the family one, right? With the little play areas and all the marketing to kids and all that kind of stuff, right? So positioning is literally, think of your brain as a geometric space, and if that space were all divided up and each space was labeled by a different brand, right? Apple's the cool one, McDonald's the family one, etc. Which one are you? Which one is your business in your market? Are you the cheap one? Are you the awesome one? Are you the fastest one? Are you the one with the guarantee? Are you the one with, whatever? What is it that you're putting out there to say, we are this one? It's kind of a strange question, but it's really, really important, because as soon as you own a position, it's very, very hard for one of your competitors to take that away from you. Okay, it's very hard. Once you own that position in the customer's mind, you're there, you're set. And now you've just got to get that position drilled in and convince people that they should move forward with your offering. Okay, so that's the first step. Determine your positioning. How do you determine that, though? First thing is, talk to your best past customers, the people who love you, the people who you love as well, people you want to work with forever and ever and ever because they're awesome. Talk to them, ask them questions, ask them about the pains and the problems and how they came to find you and why they love you and all that kind of stuff. In addition, research your competition. Go look at all of your competition's advertising. Look at the messages they're putting out there. Likely they are not intentionally positioning themselves in your market, but if they are, then figure out what their positioning is. And if they aren't, still figure out what their positioning is. Every company has a default position, whether they are intentional about it or not. And so you want to understand what their position is. The reason this is important is if you find a big competitor who has an established position, you likely don't want to go after that position. You want to go after another position that is weak or open and available that you can go out and own. And once you have a position of strength, then you can go and start attacking a competitor. But if you go starting to attack a big competitor in their position of strength, you'll likely lose. So you want to find an area, a position in your market that is untapped or unowned, and you want to own that position. You also want to think about what can you do better than anyone else. If there's something unique about what you do, that's going to drive your position. You want your position to be centered around what you can do better than anyone else. Now, you may be in an industry where you think, wow, I can't really do what I do better than anyone else because we all do essentially the same thing. Think of plumbers, right? I can't wrench harder. I can't, unplug the drain better, right? I can maybe do it faster, but, at the end of the day, that's not super important unless someone's house is flooding at the moment, right? So I'm aware of a plumbing company here in Southern California that advertises a lot on the radio, and their advertisements say something to the effect of, our plumber will show up on time and smelling great or your money back. Okay, so think about that. That's a guarantee that they have. They realize, well, plumbing is plumbing, but there are stereotypes about plumbers that people don't like. People don't like they have to wait around waiting for the plumber to show up, and they don't like that they show up all smelly and sweaty, right? So they said, look, we'll show up on time and smelling great or your money back. So they created a guarantee around that. So if you can't think of anything specific about your actual product or service that's better, maybe you can create a guarantee around service levels that your audience would like. So there's an idea for you. All right, so the next thing, step number 2, is messaging. Once your position is defined, you've got to then convey that message to your audience. So the messaging is the words and imagery you use to convey your position and your offer to the market. So if you go to our website, now we are by no means perfect at this, but we've given it some thought. So our headline says, "Get results with Infusionsoft, not just fancy campaigns." Why would we say that? Well, the Infusionsoft market is flooded with a lot of great people who can build Infusionsoft campaigns, right? And they can build fancy campaigns. They can build really cool stuff. It's technical and it's difficult sometimes, but a lot of good people can go in there and create some really cool automated stuff. Most of them are not necessarily marketers, and most of them will not necessarily write your copy and help you with the strategy and all that kind of stuff. And so our position is, look, we're the ones who are going to help you get results. We're the results one, right? Because we're going to focus on those things. We're going to dedicate our blood, sweat, and tears in helping you get the right message and the right positioning and the right copy that actually creates results. We can build the fancy campaigns as well, but really what separates us is our ability to generate results. So there's an example of how our positioning of being the results one got translated into the message, which is get results with Infusionsoft, not just fancy campaigns. Okay, so how do you write good copy? Now, of course, we could go into a copywriting clinic and spend a week on this topic, but once your position is figured out, let's talk about some things you can do to really dial in the copy. Remember, I talked about interviewing your best past customers. When you do that, you want to record those interviews or write really fast, and you want to actually get down their exact words. See, when you're in an industry, you come up with industry acronyms, industry slang, industry phrases that mean something to you and might mean something to your employees and might mean something to your competitors, but they don't necessarily mean anything to your audience, to your customers. So you want to talk to these customers and then use their words. Okay, that's one of the most powerful things you can do is interview your customers on a regular basis and understand the words they use and how they describe their problems and how they describe your solution. They may describe those things very, very differently than you've been thinking about them. Next thing is take a stand and be passionate. When I read most people's copy, it's pretty bland. Okay, so if you put a stake in the ground and say, look, here is our stance, and we're going to be passionate about this, then your copy is going to take on that passionate feel. It's going to get a little more exciting. You may not be an expert copywriter. That's okay. If you write with passion and you write with some excitement, then people are going to gravitate to that. They're going to listen. They're going to read your stuff. But if it's just bland, you're going to lose people. Okay. Next thing, tell stories. Okay. Stories are always a great way to get people hooked into what you're talking about. And next, don't be afraid to use urgency and scarcity. We talked about this a minute ago, but using urgency and scarcity adds an element to your copy of action. And that's what we want out of the copy. We want people to get done reading what we're sending them and then take action. And so urgency and scarcity heighten that element of action coming out of your copy. So just a few little pointers there, but they're really important to be thinking about these things as you're writing copy. Okay, so step number 3 is marketing strategy. And this is where it starts to overlap a little bit with Infusionsoft, and then steps 4 and 5 will really dive into Infusionsoft. First thing is, don't create campaigns haphazardly. See so many people that log into Infusionsoft with a rough idea of what they want to do and just start building stuff in Infusionsoft. If you do that, you will likely create a mess, okay? And you will likely create a mess that doesn't necessarily function the way that you want and doesn't create the results that you want. You need to go into it with a solid marketing strategy. So what is strategy? Really, it's about creating a linear, logical process to move people from point A to point B. So if the point they're at right now is, oh, I'm out of shape, overweight, tired, slow, etc., and I want to get to in shape, feeling great, energized, not ashamed of my body, then I need to create a linear, logical process to move people from point A to point B. And if I just start showing pictures of super fit people and, hey, in 30 days you can lose all the weight and be amazing, a lot of people are going to look at that and say, oh, that's not realistic, and that picture isn't me, and they can't connect, right? Point B is where they want to be, but they have a hard time connecting. So we have to take them through a step-by-step process to get them there. So you've probably seen this if you follow a digital marketer. You've heard them teach this. You want to offer a lead magnet, and then a tripwire, and then a core offer. There's an example of a linear step-by-step process from where they're at currently. You hook them in with a lead magnet and then sell them a low-cost tripwire and then upsell them to a core offer, right? There's the gap strategy that you may have heard me talk about, which is essentially creating a deeper chasm between where they are at right now and where they want to go, presenting to them all of the options that they have to try and get to point B, but then dead-ending those options, helping them understand why they're all bad options. And then you present your option last as the savior, the one option that will get them from point A to point B. There's a re-engagement strategy that you can use for people who have kind of gone cold on your list. How about the mountain man strategy? You may have heard me talk about that as well. We don't have time to go into the details here, but if you go and search on Google, mountain man method for writing copy, you'll find a video that I created a long time ago, kind of a silly video, but it explains well a great way to structure a simple campaign. And then we have results in advance campaign, which you may have heard Frank Kern talk about, but this idea of helping people get results in a lead conversion campaign prior to them ever purchasing anything gets them thinking, wow, if their free stuff is this good, then I'm really going to like the stuff that I pay for, right? So results in advance. Those are just a handful of marketing strategies. But if you go into your campaign builder without a clear strategy in place, then again, you're going to create campaigns haphazardly, and they likely won't create the results you're looking for. So that brings us to Infusionsoft. Infusionsoft is this amazing tool that allows us to execute on these very elaborate campaigns. It is, as we call it, the Ferrari of marketing automation and sales for small businesses. But most people buy that Ferrari and then end up with a car that looks like this, because the instruction manual isn't super clear about how to put these things together. You take all those Ferrari parts, you put them together, and it ends up looking like this. Well, that's because Infusionsoft is missing a little bit of structure and a little bit of rules and a little bit of the path of how you get there. And I'm going to start to share some of that with you here today. We call it the way. So what we've developed here at Box Out Marketing is the way. It's the right way to implement campaigns in Infusionsoft. Now, truthfully, it would be a 3-week, all-day, intensive course to teach you every detail of the way. And we're actually developing that. There will be an online course at some point in the future. It's probably still a couple months away at least, that will teach you the details of the way. But I'm going to teach you today a couple of the most foundational key things of the way that will take you from maybe a point of frustration with Infusionsoft to a point of delight, truthfully. They're simple things, but they change everything in Infusionsoft, okay? So the fourth step and the next thing on our list here is the innocent culprit. This is the main reason Infusionsoft gets confusing for people. And the reason I call it the innocent culprit is because it's also one of the most powerful features, and it's the thing that you suspect the least. You probably had no idea how much trouble this particular feature was causing you in Infusionsoft, okay? It's the biggest cause for frustration, and you likely had no idea that this was the problem. But it comes down to tags, or to clarify, is the lack of a tagging system. Now you'll see as you start to implement what I'm going to show you, how having a good tagging system actually fixes so many other problems. All of a sudden, campaign building in the campaign builder becomes easy and simple and much more clear when you have this tagging system in place. So what I want you to do right now, if you haven't done this in the past, is download our tag naming lesson. And I've got this handout here. See if I can do this. It should be in GoToWebinar right now in the control panel. You should be able to download it there. If you'll let me know through the questions box if you see it there, and if you're having trouble with that. Okay, looks like you're able to download it, so great. So go ahead and download that. That'll give you all the details of what I'm going to take you through right now. But the key thing here is study this, learn it, know it, implement it in your Infusionsoft account. So let me take you through it. The right way to tag. Okay, first there's 4 tagging commandments. You must obey these 4 tagging commandments, right? First is no tag shall ever be created without a category. I promise you, you will create a mess and it will be very disorganized and it'll be hard to figure out what's what if your tags are not categorized. Next, no tag shall ever be created without following a specific naming convention, which I'm going to teach you next. Every tag's name shall declare its function. This is extremely important. So in our Infusionsoft account, I can look at any tag in there and I know exactly what it does. You might look at your tag sometimes and go, I might want to delete this tag, but I'm not sure if it triggers a goal. I'm not sure if I remove this tag or if I put it in this campaign, what's going to happen. If I apply this tag to people, is it going to all of a sudden put them in a sequence and send out a bunch of emails? If your tags declare their own function, then you'll know just by looking at it exactly what it does. Tag names shall always start with the category name. Now that may seem redundant, right? Because if it's in a category, then why should we put the category name in the tag name? Well, that's because oftentimes you can't see the category name, sometimes in Infusionsoft and almost all the time in third-party systems. So you need to know the category name inside the tag name so that you can always know the function, because the category tells you the function. All right, so let's look at those categories that tell you those functions. There's 6 main categories. There's triggers, there's status, activity, profile, reporting, and temp. Okay, I'm going to go through each of these in detail, but those are the 6 main tag categories that you should have in your Infusionsoft account. Now, you may have a couple other miscellaneous optional categories like membership tags, email subscriptions, things like that. But truthfully, 99% of your tags should end up in these 6 main categories. Now, it may seem oversimplified for some of you who have a whole bunch of categories, but I promise you, if done correctly, it helps you to really keep your tags organized and you can find them quickly. You're likely wasting a lot of time trying to find tags, whether it's in the campaign builder or searching for lists, things like that. Okay, so let's go through each of these and we'll go through quickly so that we can get on to the rest of this. So trigger tags are used only to achieve goals in Infusionsoft. Trigger tags are temporary. Why are they temporary? Why must they immediately be removed after the goal has been achieved? That's because if you want to achieve that goal again, if you apply the tag again and it's already been on there, then it won't apply again and the tag won't, or the goal won't be achieved. So anytime you apply a trigger tag, it should immediately achieve a goal. The following step should be immediately to remove that tag. Okay? Nomenclature always for these tags is going to be broad to less broad to more specific to very specific, right? So in this case, always start with the category name, trigger, and then the campaign, and then the sequence, and then the actual trigger. So here's an example. We call it a trigger tag. It's in the free report campaign, and it's the conversion sequence, and it's going to start that sequence, okay? So the types that you have on the end there, the types of triggers, start, stop, or loop, okay? You're either going to be starting a sequence, or you're going to be stopping a sequence, or you're going to be doing both, which would loop that sequence. So you label them that way so you know exactly what they do. So I could look at this tag here, trigger, free report, conversion sequence, start. I know that that tag by nature of being a trigger, is going to achieve a goal. That goal is going to start the conversion sequence in the free report campaign. So I have no question about what that tag does. Now, I'm not going to use this tag for reporting. I'm not going to use it for anything else. It only has one function. Okay. Now, again, part of the reason we order things by broad to less broad to more specific to very specific is because in Infusionsoft and most third-party tools, you see lists of tags in alphabetical order. If I say, for example, in English, I use a tag called registered for the webinar, and then I have attended the webinar. Well, registered and attended, starting with R and A, respectively, will end up in very different places in that alphabetized list. But if I say webinar-registered, webinar-attended, they'll end up right next to each other in that list. Okay, just like everything related to the free report campaign is going to end up here together, everything related to the conversion sequence is going to be end up being in the list together. Okay, all right, so that's trigger tags. Next is status tags. Status tags are used to denote the status of a contact or where the contact is in a process. So usually you only have one status tag at a time for any given process, and these tags are temporary because they get removed as contacts move through a process. So a good example is a sales process, right? So in a sales process, you might have contacting stages, negotiating stages, sent the contract stage, etc. And so you have a tag that looks like this: status dash sales pipeline dash stage dash contacting. Okay. And then for a membership site, you might use this for access. People either have access or they don't. And so that's a status. They either have the status or they don't. Status dash membership site dash tagging course dash access. That tells me this person who has the tag has access to that tagging course in our membership site. Next is activity tags. Now, activity tags tell us what the person has done or actions the person has taken. And the rule here is that activity tags are permanent. We want to keep a permanent historical record of what has gone on with this particular contact. So again, the nomenclature: activity dash campaign dash specifics dash action. So things like activity, lead magnets, campaign, 7 steps report dash downloaded. So I know that the activity that they actually took was they downloaded that report. So that could be opened, clicked, downloaded, purchased, etc. Those are all the things that go on the end there, and then you organize them by campaigns, products, etc. Okay, so here's an example of a webinar: activity dash weekly webinar dash sales and marketing dash the date. So we get specific, and then we have registered and attended. All right, next is profile tags. Activity tags told us what they did. Profile tags tell us who they are. So we use these to document demographics and psychographics of the prospect or client. These are also permanent, right? These profile tags define who a contact is regardless of activity. So we might have things like age, right? Profile dash age dash this person's in the 18 to 24-year-old bracket. And you can come up with all kinds of demographic and psychographic categories that you would put people into there in addition to age. So you have demographic, psychographic, interests, pains, desires, etc. All of those types of things go into profile. All right, next is reporting tags. Again, each tag should only serve one function. And so you might be tempted to use, say, activity tags or status tags or things like that for reporting. You should really use separate reporting tags. And I'm not going to go into all of the reasons why, but it really comes down to those times when you want to go edit a campaign and you want to change something. And by nature of changing something in the campaign, you just screwed up all your reporting if you're using the same tags for reporting as you are for the other functions. Okay, so used for reporting purposes only. The rule is, since they're used for reporting, some of them are going to be permanent and some of them are going to be temporary, depending on what you're trying to report on. So we set up reporting campaigns that allow us to report on people who did something today, who did something this week, who did something this month, who did something last month, 2 months ago, this year, 2 years ago, etc. And so our reporting tags often look like this: reporting dash DYS club membership dash signed up today. And then in conjunction with that, there would be other tags that are signed up yesterday, signed up this month, signed up this week, signed up last week, signed up 2 weeks ago, etc. And then we can run saved searches on each of those tags and know exactly how many people signed up today, how many people signed up yesterday, how many people signed up this week, last week, this month, last month, etc. Okay, next thing is temp tags. Temp tags are temporary. We use them because sometimes in Infusionsoft you can't drill into the exact list of people you want to drill into in one search or report. So say you're in like a payments report and you're trying to search on a certain criteria that's not available. Well, you have to drill it down partly, tag those people, and then go back to a contact search and drill it down the rest of the way. So you need that tag for like 5 minutes while you go and do that additional search. So these are temporary. I delete them once a month or once every few months or so just to keep them clean, but I'm not overly concerned about the nomenclature here, although I'll still typically use temp dash, the broad to the more specific to the very specific, but I'm not overly concerned about the nomenclature because they're really just used for a few minutes. They end up in that category, so I never really see them again, and then I just get rid of them. So those are your 6 main categories, and you'll find that if you implement this tagging system, when you go in to build campaigns, you'll spend so much less time trying to figure out, oh, should I apply a tag here? Should I remove a tag? Should I do this? Should I do that? It will all be very clear because the tag naming system defines how you use tags in your campaigns. And then as you build campaigns, it will all just come to you. Oh, okay, they come into the sequence. I need to apply an activity tag. They came from a tag goal, so I need to remove the trigger tag, right? And all of that just happens naturally once you get the naming system down. Okay, so step number 5, and perhaps one of the most important things, is the chain that connects all things. And this is campaign structure. And this is the second most confusing or confusion-inducing part of Infusionsoft. First thing is the tags. And again, you don't realize it, but you spend a lot of time searching for tags, being confused by tags, not understanding your campaigns because tags are triggering from one campaign to another, etc., and you haven't used a very clear naming convention. And so it just wastes a lot of time and effort. But the next most confusing thing is campaign structure and how you build campaigns to keep everything organized. And this is also the part that wastes the majority of your time. How much time do you spend going back to old campaigns and, okay, I've got this form on my website. Which campaign was it in? And you go in and you open up a campaign. It's not in there. You open up another campaign. It's not in that one. And you're searching all over the place trying to find this form because you want to edit it. You want to update the fields, or you want to change the actions that happen after it. And that's due to not having good, clear campaign structure. So here's how to fix it. You need this structure. You need a very set, clear structure. Again, Infusionsoft does not provide any rules around tagging or around campaign structure. Infusionsoft lets you do whatever you want. And when we do whatever we want, we generally make a mess. So I'm going to show you the simple, powerful structure here. Okay. We call this the complete customer lifecycle. You've heard Infusionsoft talk about the perfect customer lifecycle. Well, when you build it all in Infusionsoft and it all connects smoothly, you have a complete customer lifecycle. Most Infusionsoft users have an incomplete customer lifecycle. So if yours is incomplete, we need to complete it. But essentially, it's lead capture, indoctrination, nurture and convert, close sales, upsell, fulfill, and get referrals, right? Those are the 7 stages of the customer lifecycle. And you should build your campaigns to fit in those stages. So you capture leads, and then you pass people into a new campaign to indoctrinate them. And then you pass people into another campaign to convert them. Pass people into a new campaign to close the sales. Pass people into another campaign to upsell them and fulfill and refer, etc. If you build all of this in one campaign, it's going to be very, very confusing. And if you build parts of it in one campaign and parts of it in another campaign, and there's not really any true organization to it, then that's when you end up chasing your tail trying to find stuff. And so they should all be labeled based on the stage as well. And so we label all of our campaigns stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, etc. So if I have a lead generation campaign where I'm offering, say, 5 steps to Infusionsoft success as a PDF, I would call that stage 1, 5 steps to Infusionsoft success. I know because it's stage 1 that that's a lead generation campaign, and I know what it's offering, 5 stages to Infusionsoft success. Okay, so label them all by stage and then name them after the stage based on the specific thing that it's offering or doing. Okay, so your list in Infusionsoft will end up looking like this. CCL stands for Complete Customer Lifecycle. So we have CCL Stage 1, the Pay It Forward Flywheel. CCL Stage 1, the Lead Generator. So I've got 2 lead generation campaigns. Stage 2 is the Indoctrinator, so our indoctrination campaign. That flows into either our Survey and Sell or our Webinizer campaign. And they all connect to each other in a very, very simple manner. Okay, so these campaigns need to link to each other just like these puzzle pieces do. Very, very simple manner, right? A tag in one campaign triggers the start of the next stage or the next campaign. And remember our tag naming system, if we've named it correctly, we can look at that tag and know exactly where it's used. We know, oh, this tag is in the lead generation campaign and it starts the indoctrination campaign. All of it makes complete sense. And a goal in one campaign should trigger the stop of the previous campaign. So it should connect one to the next, to the next, to the next in a very simple manner and be labeled so that you can find things in the list of campaigns in the campaign builder. So when you put all of these campaigns together and they all automatically flow. So imagine a lead comes in automatically into our lead generation form. They automatically go and get indoctrinated. They automatically get nurtured, and then they're sent an offer, and the sale automatically happens, and then they're automatically upsold something, and fulfillment happens automatically, and then you ask for referrals automatically. That is what Infusionsoft is all about, right? That's the dream that you purchased. That's the Ferrari that you're hoping to utilize. That's what we call the complete customer lifecycle. And the way we build these campaigns allows us to plug and play any which one we want, right? We can swap in any campaign for another campaign without any trouble, because it's really just a matter of adding a tag at the end of one and having that achieve a goal to start another campaign. Okay, so that is the simplified structure of the way you need to build your campaigns in Infusionsoft. So let's talk about the fastest way to get results with Infusionsoft. You likely underestimated the time it would take to learn Infusionsoft. If you're like me, I thought I would just hop in. I'm pretty good with software. I thought I'd just hop in and have it nailed in a day or two. And in fact, it took months, right? You likely underestimated how much time it takes to just figure out the right strategies, right? We talked about the strategy and the messaging, the positioning is all the stuff that really makes Infusionsoft work. When you understand the amazing power that Infusionsoft has and what it can do, and you let your mind dream up these new strategies, you realize, wow, that takes a lot of time to figure all that out and just nail down the strategies and what's going to happen from one step to the next. It requires a lot of time and a lot of thought. You likely had no idea how hard it is to write compelling copy, right? We're all flooded with emails all day long. It just feels like junk. But to go in and really write effective copy, it's hard, right? It's hard for all of us. You likely waste a lot of time and brain power searching for tags you've created, accidentally creating the same tags twice, and more. And you likely pull out your hair when you're trying to find something in a campaign you built a while ago. We've all done it. I've done it 1,000 times, right? And you're probably super busy trying to make your business work. You're worried about how you're going to create the campaigns necessary to get your business to the next level, right? We're all trying to grow. We're trying to go from where we're at to the next step to the next step. We want to keep progressing. You're probably concerned about training your staff on Infusionsoft, and that's mainly because you might not currently have a real system in there. So I remember a couple years ago bringing people onto my team and realizing, oh, how am I going to explain to them how all of our campaigns work? And that was painful, realizing that I didn't have a clear process. It was a mess. There's no way I could bring on a new employee and say, hey, look, just follow this simple system and you'll be all set. It was going to require, again, months and months of training to help them get their heads around it. And you're probably frustrated because you see the power that Infusionsoft offers, but you just can't quite harness it. We talk to Infusionsoft users all the time. They're just like, I see it. I want it. I see other people getting the value. I want that myself, but I just can't quite seem to get it. And you're probably realizing it's time to get some help so you can get results faster. So again, I present to you the complete customer lifecycle. This is our flagship service that we offer to our customers, where we build all of this for you. It's literally the fastest way you can get all of this done the right way, in a way that makes results in your business. So what's included? Well, first, Box Out Marketing's proprietary system for interviewing your customers to develop your position of strength and a message that converts. Like I said at the beginning, that's the most important part. You could try and cobble together a bunch of systems to create the technology that Infusionsoft offers, and it's possible. It's just going to be painful. And you could get the same results if you put the same content into it. Infusionsoft just makes it easier. But the content that goes into it is the most important part. We develop your marketing strategy with you to ensure that it's a strategy that creates results. We write all the copy for your entire customer lifecycle, the lead generation, the indoctrination, the conversion, the offer sequences, the upselling, the referral campaigns, everything. We also create your campaigns for each stage: lead generation, indoctrination, nurture and conversion, sales, fulfillment, upselling, and referrals. We build campaigns for each one of those stages in your business and ensure that they're all connected in that automated pattern so that each of your leads and customers gets addressed in an automated way, as well as integrated with your team in the right ways. We create reports on your dashboard so you can see campaign performance. This is key, right? If you can't see the performance of your campaigns, you don't know what's going on, and you don't know where to pull levers in your business to improve performance, then you're just shooting in the dark. And so we create those reports for you, put them on your dashboard so that you know how you need to make decisions going forward. And then lastly, we train you and your team so you can manage the campaigns going forward. Once they're all built and functioning, the training is not really hard. You'll be able to go in there and know exactly what's going on with each one of your campaigns. So the complete customer lifecycle service is normally $15,000. We recently raised the price, but during this month only, we're allowing you to get it at the original price, which is a 33% discount. It's $10,000. And so if you would like to move forward with this, go ahead and request a consultation now to determine if you're a good fit. What I'm going to do is go ahead and I'm going to put the link in the chat right here. I'll send it to everybody. So there's the link. If you want to go ahead and request a consultation, we can also, just so you know, we can also break this down. Maybe you just need a really good lead generation campaign. It costs you a whole lot less, right? If you're not ready to go for the whole enchilada, maybe you just need a really good referral campaign. Or maybe you have a membership site and you need membership site stuff built. We're a full service Infusionsoft agency. We can build membership sites, we can build websites, we do all the campaigns, etc. But the complete customer lifecycle is the service we typically offer to most people because you get Infusionsoft, you have that dream, you've got that vision of the Ferrari, but you only get a little bit of it implemented. And so we go ahead and implement all of it, and that sets the structure and the system in place for your Infusionsoft going forward. So your tag system's all cleaned up, your campaigns are all organized, everything looks great. So let me just ask you to ask yourself a couple of questions. First question is, how many new clients would it require to recoup that investment? So let's say you go for the complete customer lifecycle service this month and you get that discount. It's $10,000. How many clients would it require to recoup that investment? Some of you, it might just be one client. You get one additional client and you're happy. Others, it might take 100 clients or 200 clients. That's okay. Just get that number in your head. How many clients does it require to recoup that investment? Next question is, how many new clients would a completely automated customer lifecycle produce over the course of the year? So let's say we put this in place for you and you had great copy and it was compelling and it converted better than you're getting now, and the whole system is automated, so when people come in and they purchase and they upsell, so you're actually generating more revenue out of the same clients, and then you're asking for referrals automatically, so they're automatically getting more business. If you put all that in place and you ran it for a year, how many new clients would it generate? How many additional new clients would it generate? Next question, how much of my valuable time would be saved if my customer lifecycle were automated? So you're likely the business owner or a key person in your business. Your time is valuable. It's probably the most expensive time in the business. And if your time is being spent trying to figure out Infusionsoft, trying to write all the copy, trying to determine the right strategy, trying to analyze all the stats, and where the heck are the stats? I can't even find them in Infusionsoft. Then you're wasting your time, right? Your time is much better used in other areas. So how much of your valuable time would be saved if you had your customer lifecycle completely automated? So go ahead and jump on this now. Even if you're not sure, go ahead and go to boxoutmarketing.com/consult, which is the link I just posted, and request a consultation. Get on the phone with Jeff or one of our other team members and talk through it. There might be other ways we can help you. The complete customer lifecycle might be the right thing for you to move forward right now. It's a great way, what I found is a great way to start off a year. And as we come towards the end of this year, if you get all of your complete customer lifecycle in place and kick off 2017 with this in place, you're going to hit 2017 running at full speed, being able to get full capacity out of Infusionsoft, out of your team, etc. And you'll be much, much better off. So take a look at that. Opt in for a consult, boxoutmarketing.com/consult. Let's talk about how many clients is it going to take for you to recoup your costs, and talk through it with Jeff and see if the complete customer lifecycle service can help you produce those results that you need to recoup your costs and grow your business to the next level that you need. All right, well, thank you very much for attending. I'm going to open it up to questions now. So if you have questions, go ahead and drop them right into the questions box. Kate Smith says, I know I need this. Question here. How many tags total can you have in Infusionsoft? Good question. There really is no limit in Infusionsoft. I've seen accounts with up to 4,000 to 5,000 tags. I've been kind of keeping track as we implement the complete customer lifecycle with our clients. How many tags do they typically end up with? And it's anywhere between 300 and 600 tags is where they're kind of averaging out at. I used to say that people who are really leveraging Infusionsoft have, 1,000 to 1,500 to maybe 2,000 tags. I have found in accounts that I've managed that once you get up over 2,000 or so, it's a little bit of tag bloat. You're probably over tagging, or you've got a bunch of historical tags that you could condense. But there's no limit, Kate. So there's really no concern here. Most customers who are really kind of leveraging the system and have it dialed in well, 300 to 600, maybe 500 to 1,000 if they're really getting excited with their tags or they've built a lot of campaigns. Bruno's asking if this is recorded to be able to view it. Yes, yes, it is recorded. And like I said, download the tag naming convention so that you have the detailed explanation there in PDF format. It seems so simple. Trust me, I've been doing Infusionsoft for 9 years, and as I begin to realize the impact of the tagging system, it just hit me like a ton of bricks. Like, this is the foundation. Once you get the tag naming system in place, it really changes everything. And so don't count this off as, hey, just a way to organize my tags. It's really a way to start using Infusionsoft the right way and start getting your campaigns and everything else organized in a way that all makes sense and eliminates so much of the confusion and the hassle. Robert's asking if I'm familiar with American Tax Planning Institute. I am. We actually have a partnership with them, Robert, where they offer a pre-built version of Infusionsoft where they actually teamed up with us. We built all the campaigns. We partnered with them. They've provided the content. They're the tax experts. We built the campaigns using our tag naming system, using our campaign building system, and they offer that system to their clients. So if you have questions about it, feel free to reach out to us. Feel free to go to boxoutmarketing.com/consult. Jeff, who you'll likely end up talking to, is our main liaison with American Tax Planning Institute. Okay, Mark is asking, what typical software and apps out there do we no longer need once using Infusionsoft, like MailChimp, lead pages, etc.? That's a great question. I'm actually working on a blog post right now, Mark, that is entitled something like the 10 things you're likely wasting money on. I don't have the full list yet, so I don't know if it's going to be 9 or 10 or 15 or whatever. But it's a lot of this kind of stuff. It's so funny. I talk to Infusionsoft users all the time who don't realize that Infusionsoft does some of the things that they're paying another service for. And so Infusionsoft is a very robust system. It handles a ton of the things that you might be using other softwares for. So it's hard for me to give you an exact answer to that right now, but definitely MailChimp. If you're using any other email marketing system, you can likely, I'm not going to say you for sure should get rid of it, but you can likely eliminate that because Infusionsoft should be able to handle your email marketing needs, your email communications. Lead pages, ClickFunnels, etc. None of those are necessary. Now, some people use them for ease of use, right? It's easier to go in and create a good-looking landing page with lead pages than it is with Infusionsoft. And so some people will pay for those services just out of ease of use. I'm happy to pay an extra $50 or $100 a month just so it's easier for me. I get that, but they're not necessary. They're certainly not necessary. What I generally recommend to our clients is, pay a few bucks. It's usually not expensive. Pay a few bucks, maybe a couple $100, and hire someone on Fiverr or Upwork to build good landing page templates right into your WordPress theme. Okay, they can do that, and it's not hard. They can build additional landing page templates right into your theme. And then when you do that, you go into Infusionsoft, you create your campaign, you get your web form code, you just copy your web form code, drop it into that new page template, and it looks amazing, right? And now I don't need lead pages or ClickFunnels or any of that kind of stuff. So that's what we do. It's what we encourage a lot of our clients to do. We help our clients do that sometimes. And it's very effective. It might cost you, like I said, a couple $100 or so if you hire someone on Fiverr, but it's going to save you that $50 or $100 a month paying for one of these other services. Plus, that page now will be part of your website. It's on your domain. It's built right into your theme. It looks and feels like the rest of your website. So there's other benefits to that as well. Okay, Kate says, does the complete customer lifecycle cover all products? It's a very, very good question. Kate, if you've got 50 products, we're not going to build the entire customer lifecycle for all 50 products. Generally, what we say is it covers a product line, one product line. And that includes, say you have a tripwire to an upsell, a core offer, you might have another upsell or so. So it includes a couple of upsells. So a product line where you're buying one and then upgrading, et cetera. But if it's like, hey, I've got a catalog of a bunch of products, it's not for all those products. But there are ways too where we've been able to build it where you're bringing in the same audience, offering them a bunch of things, kind of in catalog format, and then we can do it where you're offering the offers. See, it gets confusing with the offers, right? We can't build offer sequences for every single product that you have, depending on your product suite. But if your offer is, say we've got 50 products in a shopping cart, if your offer is 10% off, this week only, or use this coupon code and save $20, then we can do it, right? Then it makes a little more sense. So it just depends on the situation. What I would do is request a consultation, talk through it with Jeff, and see how that may work. Oftentimes, to add an additional product or two, it doesn't really increase the cost much because a big chunk of the cost is doing the research, developing the messaging and positioning, developing the strategy, writing the copy, all of that kind of stuff. But to write copy for one additional product to the same audience is not hard because we've already figured out the messaging and the positioning, and we know the audience and we know the right way to talk to them and things like that. And so the additional cost usually isn't much. Now, if it's another product addressed to another audience, then that can end up being a significant difference there. All right, Robert says, thank you. This is great. Thanks, Robert. Appreciate that. Gala asks, is there going to be a replay? Been distracted trying to finish something on deadline. I understand. No worries. So yes, it will be. This is recorded, and the recording will be available inside of our membership site, and I will send an email out to everybody who's on today for a link to go watch the replay. Okay. Alrighty. All right, do you need a complete customer lifecycle for each customer type, pro versus hobbyist, or for each product type, or is the CCL business specific? Yeah, it really kind of depends on the situation. The messaging and the positioning, as you can imagine, if you've got very distinct audiences, it's going to be a different message for each person or each niche. Now, oftentimes the pains of what they're dealing with and the solution that you offer applies to maybe a couple of different audiences. And so it could be that we do all the research and we develop the message and the positioning and it works for 2 or 3 different audiences. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. We just have to kind of work that out with you, talk through it with you, and determine. That can all be determined before you commit so that we can make sure you're comfortable with what's included and what's not included. All right, Stuart says we have to use Unbounce for our website as WordPress is too slow to load, so WordPress is essentially unusable. That's unfortunate. WordPress does not have to be so slow that it's unusable. That could be a hosting problem. It could also be a plugin problem. WordPress is awesome because there's so many different plugins, but when you use a lot of those different plugins, sometimes they have conflicts with each other. Sometimes they bring in additional CSS files and JavaScript files and all that kind of stuff, and once you start loading a ton of plugins, it can slow down your website significantly. So we recommend a hosting service called WP Engine, wpengine.com. Their servers are all optimized specifically for WordPress. They only host WordPress, and so they run very, very smoothly. And then if you're on that kind of a service and you're still having trouble, then it's important to start looking at all those plugins. So what we'll often do is go in and start deactivating plugins and see what's slowing things down. There are tools you can run that show what files or what plugins are slowing things down as well. So that's unfortunate, Stuart, but it's not the end of the world. That can be fixed. All right, Barry, we've been using Infusionsoft since 2008, and there are a lot of strategies / actions in old legacy. Are you able to help transfer these to new campaign builder? Obviously, we have a lot of tags that are not organized as you described. Yeah, Barry, we can do that. We can certainly transfer old campaigns into the campaign builder. Now, what I often recommend is let's just do the complete customer lifecycle and start over. If you've got campaigns in there since 2008, they're likely a little outdated. So let's create some new updated campaigns. We'll build them all in the campaign builder. We'll get that all launched, and then we'll go just wipe out all of the legacy stuff. And wherever you have web forms or whatnot that are legacy, we can replace them with new web forms from the campaign builder. So we certainly do that, Barry. We can transfer from legacy to the campaign builder, or we can just create new. That's up to you. So again, just request a consult. Go to boxoutmarketing.com/consult. Talk through it with Jeff, and we can determine the right thing for you. So Mark's asking, so the complete customer lifecycle takes a product line through all stages, all 7 stages. That's correct. Like I said, it does include more than just one product, because obviously one of the stages is to upsell. And so you might have a one-click upsell, and then maybe an additional upsell, and maybe a downsell. So there could be a couple of additional products in there. But yeah, essentially it's one product line through all the 7 stages, and we get that all fully implemented and automated for you. Okay, good question from Mark. Can you explain specifically the other full services Box Out Marketing offers pre-Infusionsoft? List building, membership site building, defining a product line, etc. So we don't do a whole lot of list building, Mark. If you're referring more towards the advertising side of things, we don't do advertising management. So we don't manage your Facebook ads. We don't manage your Google ads, things like that. It's a service we'll likely add next year. But we don't do that currently. Currently, it basically starts with an Infusionsoft opt-in or with your existing list, etc. in Infusionsoft. We do membership site build-outs. We prefer to use Memberium, but we use other platforms as well. We do full custom build-outs there. Everything from your standard gating content to building out learning management systems, courses, quizzes, certificates, all that kind of stuff, building a whole My Account Center so people can manage their own contact information, password, email address, look at their invoices, pay their invoices, upgrade, downgrade, all those kinds of things. We build in addition to that what we call a member management campaign, which allows you and your staff to manage those members in the membership site as well. So you might need to manually cancel someone or upgrade them or downgrade them or add additional features, etc. And we make that super, super easy through an internal form in Infusionsoft where you can manage all of your users. So we do that. We build websites. If you go onto the marketplace, so marketplace.infusionsoft.com, and search Box Out Marketing, you'll see the majority of our services there. We haven't put them all on our website yet, silly enough. But most of them are there, where we basically build anything in Infusionsoft, develop marketing strategy, write copy, build membership sites, build landing pages, build websites, etc. If you have questions, I'm sure you do, because I didn't explain in all the detail. It would take too long. Again, just go to boxoutmarketing.com/consult. You can talk through it with Jeff, and he can talk you through all the details there. Okay, that gets us through all the questions. We'll leave it up here for just another 30 seconds, see if there's any other questions. If not, we'll go ahead and wrap up here. All right, I don't see any other questions, just comments here. Mark saying, awesome, thank you. Kate saying, thank you, Tyler, great stuff. Gene saying, great webinar. So thank you, guys. Appreciate that. It's always good to get good feedback from you all. Again, this is recorded. It'll be up in our membership site probably later today, if not at the very latest tomorrow morning. But thanks so much. We'll send out an email so you can go watch the recording. And then definitely visit boxoutmarketing.com/consult if you're interested in working with us. Our rates are extremely competitive. We have lots of different ways that we can work with you, whether it's just a small little campaign or building the whole complete customer lifecycle. All right. Thank you so much. Talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.